Obviously, there's been a lot of talk and about when exactly Blankfein might be stepping down. What do you make of this new report? Is this sort of in line with what makes sense for Goldman Sachs' trajectory right now?
Well, I'll tell you. So I met with Lloyd Blankfein last week, and he was about as engaged as ever. So he's certainly still running Goldman Sachs. Having said that, we thought that this transition might take place the next year. That we have an actual month, December, attached to this is certainly new news, and it's something to certainly be monitored. I mean, Goldman Sachs is still a Wall Street powerhouse, and changes like this, can make a difference.
They can make a difference, and investors seem to have noticed as well, because after the New York Times report came out, Goldman shares, which were already lower on the day, took a leg lower after that. Why would there be a negative interpretation of this announcement, or this report?
Yeah, there should be no negative interpretation taken from this announcement. I mean, Goldman Sachs' strategy won't change. I mean, Goldman has 5 key areas. Investment banking, 1/5, is crushing it. It's doing great. Investment management, they're creating assets. That's 40%. Investing and lending is doing fine. And then you're left with the last 40%, which is trading. And trading is volatile. They had a strong first quarter. It waits to be seen how the rest of the year goes. But, if anything, though, they're transitioning from a trader, Lloyd Blankfein, to a banker, assuming that David Solomon gets named as next CEO, which seems extremely likely. He's named the next successor. So, if anything, having a banker at the top and those strong corporate relationships, certainly can reinforce the more annuity-like revenues at the firm.
Well, we've also seen Goldman lose a couple of people as well. I'm thinking of Isabella Elet, who's the departing co-head of the securities unit at Goldman Sachs. Some have said that there would be departures of people who are linked or aligned with Lloyd Blankfein or Harvey Schwartz. Does the new timetable here perhaps accelerate departures of key folks in Goldman Sachs?
Well, that's certainly something to be watched. I mean, you have 2 of the 3 heads of trading departing, and now a banker at the top of the firm. I mean, I really think Goldman makes decisions based on what's the best economic value for the firm, not who's aligned with whom. But one position to watch certainly would be the president, and who takes over David Solomon's old role, and that's certainly something to be watched. John Waldron, one of the co-heads of the investment bank. I mean, talk about best in class. Goldman Sachs is best in class in investment banking, and John Waldron, as one of the co-heads, is certainly a very strong contender. Stephen Scher is heading up the Goldman Sachs Consumer Bank. That's the new consumer effort. You've heard it with Marcus, whether it's lending or deposits, and they plan to really create a consumer banking platform. There were articles recently talking about maybe even expanding into Europe, so that waits to be seen. And then another contender to be Eric Lane, head of the investment management business. So who replaces David Solomon will be quite telling about how much they might want to tweak part of their strategy.
And Mike, who's optimal for you? Who would you like to see in that president role?
Well, I think, David Solomon, coming from the investment banking side, investment banking is just best in class at Goldman. The idea of more of annuity-like revenues, all 3 of these players, investment banking, consumer banking, investment management, are all more the annuity revenue type businesses, as opposed to the trading side. So it seems to make sense to have someone from one of those areas.
And you said when you started that Lloyd Blankfein was as engaged as ever. Would you expect, given everything you know about this man, to disengage at any point before the final day on the job?
Absolutely not. And,
yeah.
People say, someone like Lloyd Blankfein or some other very successful business people, you go, look, they made a lot of money, they've achieved a lot of success, what else do they need? Well, the reality is they need what they do day to day. That's what they thrive on. And so what Goldman Sachs has done a great job at is keeping the alumni engaged. The alumni network at Goldman Sachs is about as strong as anywhere. And so we'd expect Lloyd Blankfein to still not be engaged day to day, but still be available at a minimum to help out his old firm. But it's still his firm now. Lloyd Blankfein's still running it. Nothing's definite. There's been no press release.
Yes.
And as of now, Lloyd Blankfein's still CEO.